Welcome back to the Ticker Signal. This is where we go deep, unpacking our research on specific stocks and, of course, talking about the risks. Today, we're looking at a fascinating company, Rocket Lab, with the ticker symbol RKLB.
Okay, let's just dive right in. What we're seeing unfold right now is a classic David versus Goliath story, but it's happening in the super high-stakes world of aerospace and defense. And with a giant like SpaceX apparently getting ready to go public, the heat is on and everyone's watching the challengers.
So, in one corner, you've got the undisputed heavyweight champion, SpaceX. I mean, they've got massive scale and just tons of capital. But in the other corner, you have the agile challenger, Rocket Lab. And here's the thing, they're not trying to beat SpaceX at their own game. They're playing a different game entirely, one that's all about disciplined execution and a much more focused strategy. Now, as you can probably guess, being this ambitious in the space industry, especially when you're moving this fast, well, it comes with a pretty hefty price tag. And that brings us to the financial reality of what it actually takes to compete. And here it is in black and white. You can see the sheer scale of investment we're talking about. A net loss of over $127 million in just half a year. This really highlights the intense cash burn you need to fund new tech like their Neutron rocket. It's definitely a key risk that any investor needs to keep in mind. So this just begs the question, right? When you're spending that much money and you can't win on capital alone, how do you even stay in the ring? How does Rocket Lab turn what looks like a weakness into a strength? Well, the answer comes straight from the top from CEO Peter Beck himself. What he's saying here is absolutely critical. By controlling their own supply chain, by being vertically integrated, they control their own destiny. In an industry famous for delays, being the company that actually delivers on time is a massive, massive advantage. That's what he means by disciplined execution. And it's not just them saying it. This is how the market is starting to see them. You see the key words there from investor Alex Slusky? Proven execution. People aren't just betting on cool technology, they're betting on a company that has shown it can deliver. That's the kind of trust that separates you from the rest of the pack. So let's just quickly define what we're talking about here. This vertical integration isn't just some corporate buzzword for Rocket Lab. It's literally their entire philosophy. It means they build almost everything themselves, which gives them incredible control over cost, quality, and most importantly, their schedule. And they're not just building everything from the ground up either. They're also being really smart about accelerating their growth through strategic acquisitions. This recent deal to buy Lightridge Solutions, it's a perfect example of them quickly bolting on new capabilities, in this case for the very profitable space systems market. But okay, let's be real for a second. Winning the small satellite launch market is one thing. But if you really want to compete with a workhorse like SpaceX's Falcon 9 for the bigger, more lucrative payloads, you're gonna need a much bigger rocket. And that's where this comes in, Neutron. This is Rocket Lab's big swing for the fences. It's their high risk, but potentially incredibly high reward jump into the next weight class of rockets. It's designed from the ground up to be reusable, reliable, and ready to challenge the big dogs. And if they pull this off, the financial impact could be absolutely massive. Just look at this number. Projections show that Neutron alone could become a nearly $600 million a year business as early as 2025. I mean, a single program like this could completely change the company's entire financial story. However, and this is a really big however, the path to getting Neutron on the launch pad is not guaranteed. It is a huge technical challenge. They have to stick to their timeline, find the money to build it without hurting their stock too much, and prove they belong in a market that already has some very powerful players. Any one of these could be a major roadblock. But Neutron isn't the only big thing going for them. This brings us to their other secret weapon, the fact that they are a deeply trusted partner for the US government when it comes to national security. See, in the world of aerospace and defense, trust is currency. And Rocket Lab has spent years building that trust by being incredibly meticulous about security and compliance. This has made them the go-to company for some really critical government missions. And think about it, with the government trying to build up its domestic capabilities through things like the CHIPS and Science Act, they are actively looking for reliable American partners. Rocket Lab is positioning itself perfectly to be that trusted alternative. Okay, so let's pull all these different threads together. We've talked about the risks, we've talked about the opportunities. What's the final bull case? Why might this stock still have a lot of room to run? It really boils down to four main pillars. First, their track record. They've proven they can execute with discipline. Second, the absolute game-changing potential of Neutron. Third, their rock-solid position as a government and defense partner.
And finally, number 4 is just simple market dynamics. The space economy is exploding, and customers, both commercial and government, are going to demand more than just one major provider to get to space.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. As space becomes more and more essential to our economy and our national security, is relying on just one dominant company too big of a risk? The success of a strong, reliable number 2 like Rocket Lab might not just be a good investment opportunity, it might actually be a strategic necessity.